Imagine being bullied on the bus just because of your skin color. The ride that should carry you safely to school instead carries whispers, judgment, and ridicule. The driver's eyes never leave you, sharp and unrelenting, and even small movements are met with criticism. Every morning feels like stepping into a spotlight of unfair scrutiny. You haven't done anything wrong, but the humiliation is real, and it grows heavier with each stop. How do you hold your dignity when the very system meant to protect you seems determined to break it? Jamal was a bright 15-year-old with a passion for drawing and a love for history. Every morning, he woke up early, packed his backpack with textbooks and sketch pads, and headed to school with a quiet confidence. He loved learning, and even though the early bus rides were long, he looked forward to seeing his friends and diving into the day's lessons. Life felt ordinary, predictable, and safe, for at least it had until now. He boarded the same bus he had taken for years, greeting the driver politely as always, his headphones resting around his neck. The other students laughed, swapped stories, and fidgeted in their seats. And Jamal settled in near the middle, opening his sketchbook to draw quietly. The routine was comforting, familiar, and unremarkable. But today, something felt off. The driver's glance lingered longer than usual, sharp and calculating. Subtle tension hung in the air, invisible to everyone else, but impossible for Jamal to ignore. The bus seemed smaller, the hum of the engine heavier. Every movement he made felt as though it might draw unwanted attention. He didn't yet know that this ordinary ride, this simple journey to school, would become a test of courage, patience, and resilience. The ordinary world he trusted to be safe was about to reveal a bias he could neither ignore nor escape. The bus lurched forward, and Jamal tried to settle into his seat, sketchbook in hand, hoping to lose himself in the familiar lines of his drawings. But the driver's eyes didn't drift back to the road. They followed him relentlessly, sharp and unyielding. Every time Jamal shifted in his seat or glanced up, the gaze returned, heavy with unspoken judgment. What had always been a routine ride now felt like a test he hadn't signed up for. The first subtle signs came in tone and timing. Instructions that others received calmly were repeated harshly for him. A simple move over became a command, barked with impatience, a warning that seemed out of proportion. The whispers of other students around him were quieter, hesitant, but Jamal could sense their discomfort, their uncertainty about whether to intervene. He clenched his fists, trying to stay invisible, to make it through the ride without drawing more attention, but nothing worked. Every stop escalated the tension. A spilled backpack became a moment for ridicule. A glance out the window invited scolding. The driver singled him out for minor infractions, each punishment laced with sharpness that felt unnecessary, even cruel. Jamal's heartbeat quickened, a mix of fear, humiliation, and anger swirling inside him. The engine's hum seemed to echo the weight pressing down on his chest. He tried to focus on his sketchbook, trying to block out the taunts, the laughter, the uneven glances. But the ridicule seeped through the pages, like cracks in a wall he was trying to hide behind. His mind raced. How had a space he had trusted, a bus he had taken hundreds of times, become a place where he was singled out, scrutinized, and humiliated?
I'll get then.
As the bus approached the next stop, the driver's voice cut sharper than ever. A small mistake, an innocent question, became a reason for public chastisement. The laughter of a few students he thought were friends twisted the moment into humiliation. Jamal's hands trembled, and he realized this was no ordinary bullying. This was systemic, personal, and relentless. The ride wasn't just about getting to school, it was about surviving every mile. And at that moment, a single thought hit him like lightning. If no one intervened, if this continued unchecked, how far would it go? How much more could he endure before the bus, the place he once trusted, became a memory of fear instead of routine? The bus stopped abruptly, jolting Jamal forward, and the driver's glare cut through the cramped space like a blade. His voice was sharper now, louder, each word dripping with accusation, though Jamal hadn't done anything wrong. A spilled notebook became an excuse for ridicule. A minor delay twisted into a personal attack. The other students shifted uncomfortably, some averting their eyes, some snickering, unsure where to stand. Jamal felt trapped, the air thick with tension. his chest tightening as the humiliation escalated. The driver's words hit harder than any slap could. Every command, every sharp sigh, made the young student feel smaller, invisible yet painfully exposed. His hands shook, and his heart pounded like a drum against his ribs. He wanted to speak up, to defend himself, but the weight of authority pressed down relentlessly. The bus, once ordinary, had become a battleground of fear and injustice. Then came the moment that would change everything. The driver's anger, unprovoked and blatant, turned public. He singled Jamal out in front of everyone, raising his voice, belittling him for things that didn't matter. Laughter and whispers echoed through the cabin, but Jamal could feel every stare burning into him. The world felt like it had shrunk to the space between his seat and the front of the bus. Yet in that moment of despair, something inside Jamal ignited. The fear, the shame, the helplessness, all of it converged into a spark of defiance. He straightened in his seat, lifted his chin, and refused to let the injustice define him. This wasn't just about a ride to school anymore. It was about standing up, even when it felt impossible, and refusing to be invisible. As the bus engine roared forward, Jamal's eyes met the driver's one last time, a silent promise that he would not be broken. But the question lingered. Heavier than the engine's hum, would anyone see the truth of what was happening? Or would this ride leave scars that no one acknowledged? Jamal made it home that afternoon, his backpack heavier, not with books, but with the weight of humiliation, fear, and disbelief. He had survived the ride, but something inside him had shifted. The laughter, the whispers, the cold, judging eyes of the driver, they all lingered, echoing in his mind long after the bus doors closed behind him. He wasn't broken, but he was changed, forced to face the reality of a world where the color of his skin could determine how he was treated. That night, he stared at his sketchbook. The blank pages no longer just a space for drawings, they became a place to process, to release, to reclaim his voice. He realized this wasn't an isolated incident, it was a reflection of systemic prejudice that millions of others endured daily. The injustice was bigger than one ride, bigger than one driver. It was part of a pattern, repeated in classrooms, workplaces, neighborhoods across the country. And yet, amid the anger and hurt, Jamal felt a spark of hope. By documenting his experience, by refusing to stay silent, he could turn pain into power, could make people see, make them question, and make them act. Change began when someone refused to accept injustice as normal, when someone's voice broke the silence. This story isn't just Jamal's, it's the story of countless students, countless individuals judged unfairly and forced to endure because of the color of their skin. The question remains, how many more rides, how many more moments of injustice will pass before the world finally notices to do something?